Hey, what's up guys? It's Jack and welcome back to another video. And over the past, God knows how long, I've been mentioning here and there, time and time again, that the XDefiant community is in a really unique position because of the transparency of the devs and the kind of vision the devs have and how they want to be transparent with the community and et cetera, et cetera. And how I've mentioned that this game is literally in our hands. Well, as of a few days ago, a game that was seemingly dead for so long, that was loved by so many people, got resurrected after so many years. And it was all because of a passionate fighting game community. And I know that this is not a fighting game channel, but it still relates to us because it was literally the community itself making their voices heard for so long that made this possible. And this is what the XDefiant community needs to be, but it's in an even better unique position because obviously XDefiant, or a game like XDefiant, actually exists. But we're going to get more into that in a minute. But I do want to play a clip from you, a couple clips that I put together from probably my overall favorite content creator. Like if I only had to choose one content creator to watch, if I was only limited to one person to watch, it would be this person, and that's Maximilian. And there's a couple clips I put together from his reaction or whatnot, just to like show you just how big this was. Obviously I couldn't clip more than here. I wanted to keep it long enough but yet short enough to where it wouldn't take too much of a chunk, but this is really big and I highly recommend that you guys pay attention to this. It's even emotional. So I will be right back after this is done and we're going to talk about this a little bit more, and I'll see you in a few.
They actually did it. It took 3 years. It took 3 years, and everything from what I understood, it was impossible. It was not happening. I've already completely accepted the loss of like my favorite thing. I've already accepted that loss. I did it years ago. That it would never come back, that it's impossible. So this is gonna take a while for it to sink in eventually. What are the odds of Marvel 4 now? Dude, like, likely. If this shit can happen, this was like the bridge, you know? That was the whole point. If we want to get new Marvel, the whole point was that, well, people got to like the old ones. And the old ones you can't even buy. So let's do that first. That's the whole point. I feel like back in 2017, 2018, I like lost a loved one. Dude. And like we did, I feel like I tried so hard and did everything I could within my power to do something about it. In like the late 2010s and the early 2020s, just everything. And I'm like, that's everything. I can't do anything else. Not within my power. There's no way. It feels like somebody just came back to life. No, Chad, I can't take credit for this, dude. I can't. That means a lot that people would do that. But to be real, everybody showed up during the Marvel 2 movement, right? During hashtag Free Marvel 2. And for the fucking Marvel 3 tournament and shit like that, like people showed up so hard during that early portion of the pandemic. People showed up. The whole point of that stuff was to show that people care about NBC still. That was the whole point. Just to get the eyes and the ears of people that are responsible for this stuff and to be like, hey, you know, it's possible. Like, look how many people still love this shit.
All right, guys, and that was Maximilian, dude, and by far one of my favorite content creators, if not my overall favorite. And you know, I'll leave a link to his channel in the description below in case you guys were not aware of this content creator. And he also does other things other than just fighting games. Like, he's very entertaining. He streams all the time as well. He's like, all his stuff is very, very high, like high quality and everything like that. You can't go wrong with him. So. Anyway, back on topic here. If you actually go back or if you actually paid attention to what he said in terms of like the chances of like a new Marvel game actually happening from this, you know what I mean? If you translate that to XDefiant, it's like, if you think about it, XDefiant, as I mentioned before the game even released, it could literally be a game that kind of possibly, at least potentially, right? It's possible that that other games or other arcade shooters or other, you know, things that the community's been wanting for such a long time, that people have been talking about for such a long time, right? It is possible for that to happen. You know, it may not come from, like, let's say, you know, Activision Blizzard, so to speak, but it may come from somebody else, right? Obviously, there were a lot of legalities that had to take place in order for this to happen, which is one of the reasons why it took as long as it did. in terms of all the different franchises and licenses and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it still happened. And the way I look at it is it's better late than never. So, but the thing is, the XDefiant community finds itself in a really interesting position here because we've got devs that are actually willing to be as transparent as they are. And of course, with the game, just like every other game, especially a game like this, there's going to be some growing pains. There's going to be some back and forths, but ultimately at the end of the day, I still wholeheartedly believe that the game itself is going to be in a much better state, months from now, and obviously after the first year. But what I'm saying is, what's even more important than that is that it can set the example and prove to people that, like, yes, you can do this, or people, yes, they want this. Like, if you think about a lot of the things that gamers have been requesting and content creators have been talking about over the years, that kind of comes and goes, right? It's not as consistent as, obviously, because we can't keep talking about something. We can't keep talking about dreams, we got to stick within reality. But the thing is, like, if at the end of the day, if the community actually unites and forms a movement or whatnot, like, let's say hashtag bring back SM squared or something like that, right? Or SM2, that it is possible with enough passion from the community, enough consistency, and enough people, making it trend and making it something that will catch the, the ears and eyes of people that are responsible for making something like that happen. It can happen. Like, literally a couple days ago when this happened, and when the Marvel Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection was announced, it was so huge within that community. So huge. It's not even funny. It was a big moment in gaming history. And, when I saw his reaction and all that kind of stuff, I was like, wow. Because the thing is, I can relate because I'm the same age as him. So, like, I grew up during the time when those games were in their prime. I understand wholeheartedly. And on top of that, the game that I played the most throughout my childhood was the genre that I played the most was fighting games. The Mortal Kombats, the Killer Instincts, hell, even Primal Rage, the Marvel vs. Capcoms, all those stuff. I played all those games. I played them in the arcade. I played them at home. I was one of the people I was one of the very few people here in the US that actually owned every single Sega console that ever came out. And this includes the Saturn and the Dreamcast as well. And the Saturn didn't do very well, but guess what? I had one. So, and one of the biggest reasons why I got one was because of, like, games like Virtua Fighter 2 or games like that are basically nearly perfect arcade ports of the Mortal Kombat games, which was the genre that I fell in love with more than anything else. So when this was announced, I felt really, really good for the community. I really was, wholeheartedly, 100%. I felt very good for the community. I felt very happy for Max, as well as everybody else that really fought to make it happen. And even though I hardly play fighting games anymore, I wouldn't be surprised if I ended up picking this up for my PS4 because, quite frankly, they're the games that I grew up on. And the fact that, I can just put the disc in and play it, without requiring internet if I don't want to or whatnot. And these games being a really big part of my childhood and me being the age that I am, it's a really big part of nostalgia. But the point here is that, our community can't, shouldn't and can't give up on not just on XDefiant, but just on making something happen in general. Like, if the community is passionate enough and if the community unites together and doesn't give up, things like this can happen. We just need to be heard. And obviously there needs to be that really big content creator like a Max, for instance, of those kind of numbers that can actually get more eyes on this thing, that can actually make the difference. But like he said himself, it wasn't just him. Everybody showed up. So at the end of the day, everybody needs to show up if we want something to happen, right? Whether it's an XDefiant, whether it's because of a game that we want brought back, or whatever it is within the gaming sphere, like, we need to all show up and we all need to unite. And the thing is, even though the XDefiant community is a very passionate community, not everyone is as united as we could be, at least. So I'm just saying, I wanted to share this with you because this was so important, not just for gaming history and within a community of itself, but it's literal proof that the community itself, if passionate enough and if united enough, can indeed make the difference. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to end it here. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. It was actually the first time I ever used the Mark 20 SSR. And as you can see, it's pretty damn strong, but fun to use. So with that being said, I'd like to thank everybody for taking the time to watch and or listen. And let me know down in the comment section below. Are you guys fans of the Marvel vs. Capcom games and all that kind of stuff? Were you aware of what big of a deal this was? And are you fans of Maximilian Dood? All right. That's pretty much all I got, guys. Thank you all for taking the time to watch and or listen, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.